Welcome to Viewpoints. I'm Heather Isbron, and with me today is Deputy Inspector Amin Kosseim with the New York Police Department. Welcome, Amin.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you've been with the department for 23 years now, doing everything from patrol to community affairs. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do these days, every day?
Every day, well, every day is different within New York City. I work for the Community Affairs Bureau, and our hand is to bridge the community with the police. If there's anything of community unrest, if there's anything as far as crime prevention goes, anything we can do as far as youth services and working with the kids within the city of New York. We handle special events, whether it be sporting events. We hold certain events for the community within One Police Plaza, which is our headquarters, that the police commissioner will host.
So why is community affairs important for Homeland Security? What is the goal here?
Well, I think you need to look back at, the police commissioner will always say there's the 3 C's of policing, that being crime prevention, counterterrorism, and community relations. And I think you need to tie them all together to be an effective police department today.
And so some people would argue when they hear that the data says that crime rates go up when community policing is effectively implemented. How do you explain that?
Well, it's very simple to explain. If you have good community relations and you bridge that with the community is going to talk to you more. And as they talk to you, they're going to report more crime. So obviously, crime rates will go up. But over the long term, by getting that information and that intelligence, eventually in the long term, you will be able to reduce crime. And that's what it's all about.
And can you give me some kind of example of how that works with real people day to day?
Okay, perfect example in New York City, we become very friendly with the community. We build bridges, we have trust. And whenever there's a crime to solve or a situation, a quality of life issue, we can go to those community leaders, and those community leaders will usually reach out to us before we reach out to them to give us that information, where we can solve a crime or make an arrest or get intelligence on a protest.
So you talked about building trust. Can you give me some examples about how you can do that in your community?
Well, I'll give you the perfect example. Post 9/11, the New York City Police Department realized we didn't have outreach with the Muslim community as we should. So we formed a new Immigrant Outreach unit. And that new immigrant unit, we brought in officers of different origins, different ethnicities. We had an officer from Yemen, from Pakistan, from Egypt, from Asia, African, Caribbean, and we put them out in those communities, and they were able to form bridges with those communities. They opened doors for those communities. So now we developed a rapport, and we pushed it one step further because we realized the answer to the future is the kids. We need to get through to the kids. And so we looked at certain communities within the Muslim community, for instance, the Arab community, and we looked at them and we found out they love to play soccer. So we started a soccer league called N.Y.P.D. United. We went into the Arab community, which we already had ties with, and we started this league. So then we looked at the Pakistani community. And the Pakistani community, as well as the Bangladesh community and the Caribbean community, love to play cricket. So we started a cricket league. Starting the cricket and the soccer league was very troublesome in the beginning because it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. We had to go get fields, so we had to get permit for the fields. We had to order uniforms for all the kids, and it's something that we went and spared no expense. We ordered the nicest uniforms, shirts, pants, hats, socks. We had to provide transportation for the kids because we brought them from all over the city to the fields. We got a lot of publicity during the soccer and cricket leagues. We had CNN come out, we had the BBC come out, the New York Times wrote an article, a lot of the local affiliates came out and filmed us, and we had leadership from the top supporting us. The police commissioner came out personally for the opening of the games, during the games, for the finals of the games. We used YouTube, we used Twitter, we did live web streaming, and we did all this and we brought the community in. We held family days where we brought up a rock climbing wall, where we served food. We brought in halal food for the community because that's what they ate. We also had the crime prevention section located there, which were giving out tips on burglary and robbery and how to prevent identity theft. We had the recruitment section for recruitment issues within the community. We brought in the cadet corps to talk about the kids about if they want to go to college through the cadet. We brought entertainment in, we brought music in, and we played the music they enjoy hearing. And these are all aspects of how to work with the community. We just completed our 3rd year doing soccer and cricket, and it's been extremely successful. But one of the most important things about dealing with the community is you need to have year-long events. You can't just play soccer and cricket over the summer and do nothing the other 9 or 10 months of the year. So you have to look at what else the community enjoys. And another perfect example is during the month of Ramadan, when the holy month of Ramadan for the Muslim community, when they fast. What we do is we actually send officers out to the mosque to visit the community, to go into the mosque, to understand the customs, to ask, is there anything we can do? There's always issues regarding parking, for instance, because there's double parked and triple parked cars. So we need to be sensitive to those issues, not to issue parking summonses, because the community goes in to pray. Friday's the big prayer day. People should understand that. We bring the imams in. They go to the roll call, speak to the officers, and explain the customs. The new officers that come out of the police academy, there's a program called the Community Partnership Program. We bring those officers into the mosque to meet the community, to meet the imams. These are all vital pieces to forming bridges with the community.
And aside from the obvious great PR that it is, and aside from just really giving to the community, trying to understand the community, what does the department, what does the general public get back, and how do you measure effectiveness in terms of this approach?
I'll give you a perfect example of how the community feels. During our last pre-Ramadan conference, I actually went out and made a video. And what I did is I personally went to imams across the city of New York and I interviewed them. And I would ask them on video, what should the N.Y.P.D. know about the holy month of Ramadan? That would be the first question. The second question would be, what do you want to tell us about the Islamic community about during the month of Ramadan? And I think when everyone sat in that audience and watched that video, it wasn't the N.Y.P.D. showcasing what they do. It was the community talking to the N.Y.P.D., explaining what their concerns are, what we should know about them. And you could see the faces in the room. There was 1,000 people in that auditorium, and you could tell it was affecting them. They come up to you afterwards and go, that was a great video. Thank you for listening to our views. They come up to you on the street talking to you. The kids that play the soccer and cricket, they love the shirts so much, they wear them when they're not playing soccer and cricket. You see them around the neighborhood walking down the street with them. So we are making a difference. We're making in-grounds, and you can tell.
So what do you do if you're in a community and you don't have that trust? And what if you have an active mistrust of the police department and a perception that they're just trying to be friends so they can cause trouble, that kind of thing? How do you overcome that?
Well, the first step is not to approach that community in a time of crisis. That's the worst time to approach, because then they're going to say, you're only coming to talk to us because you want information or intel. You need to form that partnership, that bond with those people when there are no issues. There's 2 ways to do this. You need to talk to the elders of the community because they have respect, but you need to speak to the young leaders. You have to go both sides, because this way you're going to get those young leaders that are eventually going to take over that community. You need to speak to the nonprofit organizations. There's a lot of people you can speak to, but it has to be year-long to develop that relationship.
And what would you say are some of the, addition to some of these other smart practices that you've implemented, what other benefits to this type of approach of policing would you see going forward, long-term?
Going forward, long-term, for me, it's reducing crime, which is obviously vital to any police department. But to me, you're going to be able to counter radicalization, counter extremism. And to me, that's what it's about, because that community member is now going to approach you and tell you, hey, there's some kid in my mosque that all of a sudden is going beyond and praying in his home and pulling kids out. And that's the intelligence you need, because that's someone you might want to look at, but you want them to come to you with that information. And that's not going to happen unless you have that rapport with them.
What advice would you give to departments who are smaller and don't quite have the resources of the department, the New York Police Department, to start these types of programs?
Well, you get the communities involved. There are nonprofits that will fund you. The community sees you have an interest in them. They will help whichever way they can. And the first step is just sitting down and talking, finding the leaders and speaking to that community. And it's a 2-way street. They're going to help you if they think you're concerned, and it's going to help the department in the long run.
And what is your favorite part of the job?
Wow. I guess my favorite part of the job would be the smiles on the faces of the kids when we work with them, the thank yous you get. You feel appreciated when you work these programs, and that's something different than when you're on the street. You don't see that appreciation all the time because you're usually dealing with people in critical situations. So it's nice to see someone appreciate all the hard work you're doing and come up to you and just say thank you.
Well, we know it's not an easy job, and we appreciate your experience and your time today talking to us about community policing.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for having me.